Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott Selections here for Tuesday, January 19th. Before we get into today's play of the day, a quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up picking up a tough loss in college basketball as we gave out the Citadel and UNC Greensboro over the 162 at minus 109 on DraftKings. Line climbed all the way up to 166, beat a 4-point line move, but the game ended up landing 160. Pretty upsetting. Needed 5 points over the last 2 minutes or so. Got three. Bunch of missed layups, bunch of missed free throws. Really just a shame. But either way, it's a loss, and we'll accept it and move on. But for today's play, I know that the college basketball card and the NBA card are a bit limited. So for that reason, we're going to be doing a look-ahead thing to the UFC matchup or the card that's going to be on tomorrow. Very rare UFC midweek card, but I'm not going to complain about it. And instead, we're going to be going through some fights that I like, kind of like we did in the last card for the weekend. Go through some fights, run through all of them, and talk about what value I think lies on the card. But the recap of the UFC video that we did a couple of days ago, we went 1-1 for plus 0.19 units. So a little bit of profit there. Hopefully that carries over into this one. But without further ado, we're going to start off and talk about the first matchup here on the prelim card. It's going to be on a matchup between a UFC first-timer and a little bit of a veteran between Mason Jones and Mike Davis. And for this fight here, we're going to be taking the underdog here in Jones on the money line at plus 150 on FanDuel. And these lines are all at time recording of 12:05 p.m. Eastern time. Couple reasons why I like Jones as an underdog in this spot. First of all, you have seen a decent amount of line movement coming in on Jones. He opened up at around plus 158, plus 160, curling down to around plus 140 in most spots, but FanDuel still has plus 150. Now, looking at both fighters so far in their careers, Jones has been a very solid fighter in the Cage Warrior series as he's currently undefeated. He was the champion there, and he decided to finally go to the UFC. He is one of the best prospects in the entire UK, and he has the potential to become a serious contender within a couple of years. Meanwhile, looking at his opponent here in Mike Davis, he's been pretty solid as well. 8-2 in his career, 7 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and 0 decisions. So Davis lives up to the name or the nickname Beast Boy because he definitely loves to finish fights early in the octagon. His only 2 losses are also against good competition. A loss to Gilbert Burns, who's now going to be fighting for a title, and he also ended up losing to Yusuf, who's been pretty good so far in his UFC career as well. But looking at this matchup here, I do think Jones possesses a decent amount of advantage in the ground game. Jones is pretty well-versed in judo training, and he also is pretty solid as an all-around fighter. 4 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission, 3 wins by decision. And the issue I have with Davis is that besides the knockout power, I simply think that Jones is the more well-rounded fighter, especially at the price of plus 150. I definitely think that Jones should be closer to around plus 120, maybe even plus 115. I think people are just betting against the first-timer, expecting Davis to come out and smack him. But in reality, I think Jones is a very, very good fighter, and I think there's a very good chance that the hype behind this person is legit. So for that reason, I think plus 150 is a little bit of a steal. I think Jones will showcase his elite-level judo and his solid ground game against Davis, who is mostly a one-trick pony with his stand-up exclusive style. So for that reason, I think there's some value there, and that will be the first play on the UFC card. And the second play going in order once again is going to be on a pretty hefty favorite here. It's going to be on Ricky Simon as he ends up taking on a UFC fighter who a lot of people don't know about because it will be that fighter's UFC debut, as Simon is taking on a Perello. And Perello has gone from plus 248 to plus 350. A lot of line movement coming in on Simon. Simon's up from 330 to from minus 330 to minus 440, give or take. However, you can still take exact outcomes, and I like Simon to win by decision at plus 125 on FoxBet. A couple reasons why I like Simon by decision. First of all, you're getting a hell of a deal. You're getting a guy who's favored at roughly minus 440, and you're getting him by his preferred method of victory at plus 125. It's an absolute steal, if you ask me. Looking at Simon, he's been a very solid fighter in his UFC career. However, he has had an issue a little bit of stopping opponents within the distance. Simon has won 16 times and 9 wins by decision. And if you look at his recent results in his fights in the UFC, 4 of his last 5 fights have gone to decision. He beat Borg by decision. He lost to Font by decision. He ended up losing to Uriah Faber in a pretty shocking knockout upset there. But he ended up beating Yaya by decision, also beat Montel Jackson by decision. This guy seems to really, really struggle at finishing inside the distance, but Simon does possess elite-level wrestling, and I do think that will give Perello a lot of problems because Perello is 15-5. He has 11 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission, but he's mostly a knockout specialist. He's also lost 3 times by submission. So he's kind of inconsistent on the ground. And Simon, who has been known to ragdoll opponents in the past, I simply think that Simon will sit on him, force Perello to fight off of his back instead of letting him showcase his knockout power. And I think Simon will eventually get the job done by decision. I think it'll be a pretty serious manhandling. I think it'll probably be 30-27. But the only way that Simon can really lose this fight is by losing by knockout. I think Simon knows that, and I think he'll do whatever he can to keep this fight on the ground as much as possible. And I think if you're getting Simon, who's a minus 440 at plus 125 by his usual method of victory, I think that's a great deal. So the second play is going to be Simon by decision, a plus 125 on Fox Bet. Now the third play, we're going to be going with an underdog here by an exact outcome. So it's kind of going to be a hybrid of the first 2 plays. It's going to be on a matchup between Castro and Villanueva. And I've seen Villanueva fight on numerous occasions. I think he is a very underwhelming fighter. I don't think he deserves to be favored at all. He's 17-11 his entire career, not very good. Lost each of his last 2 fights to Wright and Sherman by knockout. He's fighting up against a submission specialist in Castro, who has lost each of his last 3 fights, so he has been struggling lately. The loser of this fight will probably be cut. But Castro has won 8 of his 9 victories have come by submission, and I do think that for that reason, there's a lot of value here on Castro's submission at plus 260 on FanDuel. Now, looking at Villanueva, in addition to being knocked down in his last 2 fights, he's also lost by submission 5 times in his career, so he really doesn't have any ground defense at all. And I simply think that it's a conflict of styles. If Villanueva keeps in the stand-up, he'll win by knockout. If Castro takes it to the ground, he'll win by submission. So for that reason, I think if you're looking at a coin flip fight here and you can get the guy's preferred method at plus 260, I think that's a pretty profitable coin flip for me. So I do think if this goes to the ground once, Villanueva is screwed. And I simply think that Castro will be able to do enough in order to avoid a massive haymaker in the stand-up to get it to the ground and to eventually win by submission. So we're going with 3+ plays here on the UFC card. I simply think there's a lot of value to be had here. And once again, to recap the 3 plays, we're going to be taking Mason Jones by money line at plus 150 on FanDuel. We're going to be taking Ricky Simon by decision at plus 125 on Fox Bet. We're going to be taking Castro by submission at plus 260 on FanDuel. Other than that, though, those are my 3 plays on UFC Fight Island 8. That's been Stallman Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.